it's good to have you taking the time to come on down the road with us. So thanks for joining us. We're going to get a chance today to visit with Dr. Murray Cohen. Now, Dr. Cohen is an epidemiologist. He's with the CDC. He's retired, and he's somebody who can tell us really where we're at when it comes to the Food and Drug Administration and how this is shaking out with their approval now of the Pfizer vaccine, I should say. Now, will that change any of your minds? Or is it anti-vaccine? Is it there's no way I'll ever do it? And so we'll have that conversation with you as well. We're going to get a chance in a little bit to visit with Kristen Baesler and just get a chance to talk to North Dakota Superintendent of Schools and find out what's going on out there. Last night in Moorhead, Minnesota, they started the anti-vaxxers, the anti-maskers. They started shouting at the school board in Moorhead because they were moving, as the school board was moving forward towards requiring kids and everybody in that school district that's around each other to wear masks. And the folks in Moorhead that were anti-vaxxers just started going nuts, for lack of a better way of putting it. They got gavelled down. The next thing you knew, there was security that was required to remove them from the school board meeting. That's the type of passion that is coming out in this. That's the type of, shall we say, thought process that is being used in all of this. Another example, in Fargo, where I'm sitting right now, you've got a situation where there's a committee set up to recall, I think it's 4, maybe 5 of the school board members. Yeah, recall them. And what's the reasoning behind it? Well, there's a lot of reasons that they gave in the beginning, and they said it isn't because of masks, that isn't it. It's because of this or that or the other thing. When everybody knew. I mean, the public knew that it was about masks. It turns out they finally admitted that it was about masks, that they didn't want their children wearing masks in schools. It's a big question, isn't it? I mean, to me, I went through all that protocol. There were times that I wish I would have had my mask on. I wish I would have remembered it. There were times that I had to run back to my pickup to grab the mask. And the reason that I had to grab the mask was because I walked into the gas station, and next thing you know, I was looking around and they had their masks on and I didn't. And so, to sit there and say, okay, I should have had it on at every moment, and sometimes I didn't, would be truthful. It would be. I posted a picture of myself out there pheasant hunting with some guys when masks were required. And understand, I'm outdoors. I'm pheasant hunting. I'm a little ways away from everybody, but it doesn't change the fact that at that period of the COVID debate, masks were being required. And I didn't have one on. And so I'm no angel when it comes to masks. I'm not. I tried to do the best that I could. I don't like it any more than you like it. But I do know this. If I was in a room where surgery was being done, I wouldn't think twice about complaining about wearing a mask. Now, let's take a look at where we're at today. I've been vaccinated. Many of you have been vaccinated. Quite frankly, many of you have not been vaccinated. North Dakota is one of the worst states in the union when it comes to vaccination. So, will you get vaccinated? Will you take the time, or what is it that's causing you not to get vaccinated? Today on my radio show, a man named Mike, I don't know what his real name is, maybe it's Mike, but I do know this. We've had some spirited and sometimes ugly conversations on air. Sometimes I lost my temper, sometimes Mike did. But the truth falls in if we just relax and have a spirited conversation without screaming and hollering at each other, it can be a pretty good conversation. Doesn't mean we're going to agree. And in this particular conversation today, we didn't agree. Mike is an anti-vaxxer. Now, for the question came up and he kept using data that simply wasn't true. He did. He kept talking about tens of thousands of people that have died with the vaccine, and the data just simply doesn't show that. How these individuals are, contracting COVID based upon what's happening at the border with the people that the Biden administration has let into this country. Well, that's not true either. the people that the Biden administration has right now, and it's about a percentage of anywhere from 30 to 35 that have COVID, that are trying to cross the border, that the Biden administration has not sent back. Of that, 35% have had or have COVID. So what happens? Well, they get isolated. That's right. They get isolated, much like I was when I contracted COVID. So, we got to keep in mind that facts are facts and rumors are rumors. And if you're going to do one Google search, that doesn't mean that you've done the research of a scientist. In the end, when it came to Mike on air today, I said to him, Mike, and I said it that calm, honest I did. I said, Mike, have you ever, in your argument against the vaccine, have you ever used the argument that the Food and Drug Administration has not approved it? Long pause. Yes, Joel, I did make that argument. I said, then now that they have, are you ready to accept it? No, I'm not. I said, is there anything that anyone can bring forward, numbers, statistics, science, anything that would put you in a position where you would get vaccinated? He said, no, I never will. Okay, there we have it. What means can you use to get Mike vaccinated? Are you going to hold him down? Are you going to shove a needle in his arm? Or are you going to take away some of the things that he calls his freedom, right? Going to ball games, getting on an airplane, just basically being able to access the same areas. To me, making things mandatory with employees is something that, as I see it, is not in any way something that takes away their freedom, because it's their freedom, as they see it, that can cause trouble for all of the rest of us. We're going to be joined now by Kristen Baesler. I've known Ms. Baesler for a long time now. She is North Dakota's head of the Department of Public Instruction. She's a state school superintendent, which makes me nervous, a superintendent in school all at the same time. Kristen, good to have you on News and Views.
Really good.
Actually, yeah. Down the road. How's that? Old habits, radio, TV.
There you go. Really good to be with you. As many years as we've known each other, Joel, we're going to get over that initial anxiety and apprehension that you experience when you hear schools and superintendent.
Good luck. I don't know if it was bred into me or acquired, but I've earned it. I've completely earned it. Let's talk about this upcoming school year, and let's talk about the position of the Department of Public Instruction. What are you telling those local school boards and school administrators when it comes to the vaccine, when it comes to mask issues, when it comes to beginning this school year like we all want it to be with kids in the classroom?
Yeah, Joel, I will just start by saying I don't think that anybody was expecting, or were we prepared in our local school districts to be starting this school year the way that we are, with the numbers of hospitalizations increasing, the number of positive cases increasing, the Delta variant impacting us the way that it's impacting us, even in North Dakota. Like always, I think we felt that we would be a little immune to it, that it really wouldn't get here, that we would start school, we'd start volleyball games, we'd start football games, kids would be in the classrooms, with their teachers, giving hugs and high fives and doing everything else. That's not where we're at. Hospitalizations are increasing, cases are increasing across the state. We are, recognizing that there are more students, there are more pediatric cases than the original variant provided and presented itself. We're more concerned. We have families more concerned. And as the legislature was very, very clear that these decisions are locally made decisions, that mask issues are local decisions by local school boards. We're supporting our local school districts. The message that I'm saying to our local school districts about those issues are, yes, those are your decisions, but you are not alone in this. We are still here at the state to help you. We have retained the Healthy Return to Learning team to be that bridge between public education and public health. We need to continue to work together. As I've been reflecting this week, I remembered a conversation that I had with a colleague in November of 2020, when we were at our spike, when we were at a peak again. And the conversation with this collegial educator was, let's just get a vaccination. Let's just get a vaccination. We just need to have a vaccination approved. We just need to get one out there. We just need to hang on until we can get that vaccination out there and widely available so our kids' lives can be normal again. Thought about that just yesterday morning and again this morning when I'm talking to myself in the mirror and saying, okay, we have the vaccination. We have the vaccination. It's been widely available since really April. Anybody that wanted it could get access to it. And yet here we are, our schools are struggling with their protocols and the mitigation strategies because we don't have enough people vaccinated. And we have students that are going to school under some strategies, mitigation strategies that might not be, that shouldn't be theirs to bear, I guess. Some of the things we're asking our young people to do shouldn't be theirs to bear. So I really am encouraging, personally, I have no legal authority, but I have influence and I have a voice. And so I'm really encouraging our school districts to leverage the strategies that are out there. The BINAX testing for early identification. If it's a positive case, make sure that they're not in that classroom. Some of our schools are encouraging our local school boards to encourage as many of their staff and eligible students to get vaccinated so we can get back to normal and our kids can not worry about carrying our burden as a state, but get back to learning and to enjoying each other and learning how to get along with each other.
What about masks? Because that's the debate that's happening in every school board meeting across the state. Parents come in, they're advocates for masks. Parents come in, they don't want their kids to have to wear a mask. What is the recommendation from the North Dakota Department of Public Instruction?
So we're trying to stay in our lane, but that Healthy Return to Learning team, that partnership that we have with the Department of Health, North Dakota State Department of Health, and our HRLT team we are encouraging all of our school boards to consider all of those mitigation strategies that CDC has recommended. And so there are several. Hand washing needs to continue to increase, distancing whenever possible, staying home when you're sick, masks, ventilation. Whatever a school district can do to keep our kids in buildings learning, we're encouraging them to consider all of those mitigation strategies. Again, specific to masks, the legislature was very, very clear that that would be a local school district decision. But we, again, are encouraging those school districts to consider as many of the recommended mitigation strategies as CDC is sharing with them.
When we come back, I think people need to know more about this Healthy Return to Living team that you put together. I think it will, I know about it. I've had the opportunity to speak to you about it, and I think it's a great approach, and I think it's something people need to know more of. So Kristen Baesler, when we come back, right here down the road.
Howdy folks, it's the County Line Cafe. I reckon it's time you're due for a hearty meal. So saddle up for the day with one of our hay bussin' breakfast homemade soups. Fill your grill at a salad bar, sink your teeth into our famous County Line burger and barbecue ribs. Top it off with spur rattling pie with a comb roll that's sure to put a smile on even the toughest outlaws. Shake the dirt off the boots each night and warm up with the gang. Tell them about it, Stacy.
I can't wait to see you at the County Line.
He once won a spelling bee in an ancient language that he did not speak. He is the only man to ever earn extra credit on an IQ exam. His academic degrees are considered legitimate spending currency in 22 nations, 2 principalities, and at Chick-fil-A restaurants in the United States and Western Canada.
I do not always engage with education programming, but when I do, it is the Dr. Duke Show.
Stay educated with the Dr. Duke Show, weekdays at 4 p.m. on Beck News.
Hi, Hunter Ellis here for Night Hero Binoculars by Atomic Beam. These binoculars let you see anything, even in pitch black darkness. Gotcha.
The secrets are powerful wide-angle atomic beam laser that reveals objects up to 150 yards away, hidden by darkness.
During the day, Night Hero gives you 10 times magnification. And when the sun goes down, press the Night Bright button to see clearly in the dark.
Light up garbage-eating critters or spot thieves before they even get close.
Call or click now and get Night Hero Binoculars for just $39.99. Order right now and you can double it. Plus, get our best-selling Atomic Beam flashlight
flight, just pay a separate fee.
We'll even ship them to you free.
This TV special offer is not available on Amazon. You can get it all, but you have to order now.
Call 1-800-619-1091. That's 1-800-619-1091. Or visit bynighthero.com. That's bynighthero.com. Order now.
Attention, have you or a loved one suffered from maculopathy, a serious retinal injury, after taking the prescription drug Almiron for interstitial cystitis or bladder pain syndrome? In 2018, a researcher at the Emory School of Medicine linked Almiron, a prescription drug that treats interstitial cystitis or bladder pain syndrome, to maculopathy, which is sight-threatening and can cause an abrupt change of vision. Call Almiron Justice for a free legal consultation.
Please call 800-395-5680.
Non-attorney spokesperson. This is a paid advertisement for legal services sponsored by Nightline Legal. Cases assigned on a random basis to participating law firms. This drug remains approved by the FDA. If you or a loved one regularly took Zantac and were later diagnosed with cancer, call right now. You may be entitled to financial compensation. Potential cancers include bladder cancer, colon cancer, kidney cancer, stomach cancer, liver cancer, pancreatic cancer. Do not stop taking a prescribed medication without first consulting with your doctor. Discontinuing a prescribed medication without your doctor's advice can result in injury or death.
Call 1-800-230-9210.
Welcome back to Down the Road. We're going to continue our conversation with Kristen Baesler. Ms. Baesler is North Dakota's head of the Department of Public Instruction. She's the superintendent. We were talking before the break about the Healthy Return to Learning team. Describe to people what that is and who's on it.
Sure. So in July of 2020, as we're preparing to go back to school last fall, it became very clear that educators go to school for a long time, 4, 6, 8, 10 years, sometimes more, to become experts in creating great, dynamic, wonderful lesson plans that get kids engaged. We look at assessments and we're really good at implementing assessments, whether it's like a paper pencil assessment or just being able to assess visually. That's what we're good at. And that's the lane that we swim in well. But as we were looking to go back to school, it's like, we need other experts in our community and in our state that are gone to school for 4, 6, 8, 10 years to become medical experts, to become public health experts. And so what we did is we partnered with the Department of Health and the Department of Human Services to create a healthy return to learning, to achieve the dual mission that schools had last year and this year, to keep our students and teachers safe while they're learning what they need to know to be successful for the next grade level and successful in life. So we contracted with 3 individuals that are just remarkable people. The first is Dr. Fran Rodenberg, who is a former administrator with the Bismarck school system. She was the assistant superintendent of schools with Bismarck Public Schools for years and years, a special education teacher before that, gifted and talented teacher, building principal. Dr. Guy Tangadal is a doctor that used to be the Burleigh County health officer and specializes in infectious disease. And then, of course, Keith Johnson, who was the former public health administrator for Custer District Health in Western North Dakota. Those 3 individuals are contracted through a partnership with the Department of Health and DPI instruction to be that liaison, to bridge between education and public health.
Well, that's good, and it's needed. And so I think that's a great step. I want to compliment you on that. Let's talk a little bit, if we can, about teachers, staff, where we're at when it comes to the percentages. By now, you know the data. Are there some school districts that are falling behind here? Now, I'm not talking about grades and distance learning yet. I'm talking about vaccinations. Do you know those numbers?
I do. So the latest report we got was of our teachers, for our teaching staff, 63, just about 64% of our teachers have received at least 1 dose of the vaccination in the state, and 63% are fully vaccinated with teachers. Staff is a little bit less than that. 51% of our staff in our schools, K-12 schools, have received at least 1 dose. 48% of our staff across the state have received both doses and are fully vaccinated. The trends that we're seeing, Joel, is our schools that are located on our Native American reservations are outpacing us. They are leading by example. The majority, the majority of our teachers that are vaccinated come from our reservation schools. Some of our reservation schools have 100% teachers and staff vaccinated, and about 70% of their eligible students vaccinated. So kudos to them, hats off to them. They are leading by example in keeping their communities safe.
Why is that? Why is it that the Native Americans and the individuals in their school districts are the ones that are leading the way? Are they telling them they have to? Are they just saying, look, we strongly encourage this? I mean, why is it? Do you know?
So I think that if I would hypothesize, I would say that there's multiple factors. Number one, we have really good leaders within those school districts, really good superintendents and board members that understand the role that school plays in their community. Number two, we have good leaders within the tribal councils as well. We have good leadership on those tribal council and those members that are saying, we all need to do this together. Those Native American population have been impacted by some of these diseases and these infectious diseases more. They have more of their members that, have those comorbidity presence of people that are a lot of elders. They really, really respect their elders. And that's the third factor. The culture of the Native American community is to protect the vulnerable in whatever ways they can. I mean, we could have another conversation about whether you agree or disagree with that, but the culture is there to the best of their ability. They value the elders and their children in their communities. And so I think that speaks to what their priorities are.
By now, you must have data on how things went last year with distance learning, where we're at score-wise, where we're at when it comes to these students, that it's all of our job to look out for and to make sure they're doing well enough so that they're ready for the next phase of their life. How does that data look?
So you've known me for a long time, and I'm not one to sugarcoat things. And I will tell you that I think there's a sense in North Dakota where everybody wants to believe that our students are fine. And we are better than those students that didn't ever get to step foot in a brick and mortar building last year, that never got to build a relationship with their fourth grade teacher because they actually never met their fourth grade teacher. Everything was online. So yes, we are better, but I'm not going to sugarcoat the fact that just because we were in brick and mortar, our students didn't suffer in their learning. And I'm not going to say learning loss, and I'm not going to, because you can't lose something that you never had. And I don't want to say that our kids are behind, because I don't want to put in our children's head that they did something that they were supposed to be doing or that they failed. For our young people out there and their families, our children are exactly where they are supposed to be. There's these heroes in our classrooms we call teachers that will get them to the next level. But what the data is telling us, Joel, is that every child, regardless if they were in-person learning or distance learning, every child experienced some impact. They aren't where they were previously. They didn't make the same amount of learning gains that they had made in other school years. The world was in chaos. And when a child's life is in chaos, when a teacher's life is in chaos, you just don't have as much mental energy to devote to learning and teaching. That impacted our young people.
Can they catch up? With the access that we hope they all get to teachers, can they catch up?
Yes. And I also want to say that it's not just necessarily distance learning, because the majority, we can't blame some of the headlines that I read this week is that distance learning caused a decline. It really wasn't distance learning, because the majority of our students were in brick and mortar. It was the disruption of COVID-19. So let's be sure that we don't blame distance learning. But to your question, absolutely, they can catch up. That is the heroes that we call teachers know what to do. We have a lot of support from the federal COVID funding to provide additional learning supports that weren't there before. These kids are resilient. Adults are committed to them. We can do this. We just need to know that we're going to do it together. And let's start by making sure that they don't have that disruption and chaos this year. Let's get vaccinated. Let's do what we need to do to keep our kids in schools learning without chaos in their lives. And let's support our teachers and our communities to make sure that they have what they need to do what they need to do with our children, with our students.
Well said. In terms of the overall view of teachers and who's susceptible more, even I think that the teachers, if I were them, I'd definitely be encouraging everyone 12 years and up to get that vaccine. And I know that's going to not sit well with certain anti-vax parents, but that's got to be the way it is. Kirsten, good to have you on. Thank you.
Nice to be here. Thank you, Joel.
Yeah, when we come back, we're going to get a chance to visit with Dr. Murray Cohen. Dr. Cohen is a retired CDC epidemiologist. Let's talk to him about the CDC and where this is all going.
From Lambeau Field to your living room. Catch all the Green Bay Packers preseason games exclusively on Beck Sports. Available on KRDK, KNDB, or KNDM TV. The Pack take on the Houston Texans August 14th, followed by the New York Jets August 21st, and end off the preseason with the Buffalo Bills August 28th. Check Beck.Sports to find more scheduling and local channel information.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and as you know, my passion is to help each and every one of you get the best sleep of your life. That's why I created my new Giza Dreams bed sheets. The first night you sleep on my sheets, you'll never want to sleep on anything else.
Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen right now to get your very own MyPillow Giza Dream sheets. When you buy one set of sheets, you'll get another set absolutely free.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
Introducing the Cool Turtle, the ultra-comfortable mask enhancer that creates a protective, cool, and breathable space between your mask and your face. Simply slide under any mask or gaiter and immediately feel the refreshing pocket of air surrounding your face. Cool Turtle's ergonomically designed, soft, comfortable shell immediately reduces mask friction, allowing you to breathe and talk in a comfortable environment.
I can actually breathe. With the Cool Turtle, no more sweating.
It's like I don't even have a mask on.
Call now and get not one, not two, but 3 Cool Turtles for just $10. Order now and we'll send you 2 more Cool Turtles free. No fees, absolutely free. Plus, you can get a 10-pack of 4-ply face masks. Just pay a separate fee. This offer is not available on Amazon. Get the real Cool Turtle now.
Call 1-800-270-1219. That's 1-800-270-1219. Or visit getcoolturtle.com. Order now.
Seniors, are you aware that you could pay less for your car insurance?
Seniors can save money on their car insurance.
You might save a little, you might save a lot.
Maybe hundreds of dollars a year.
You might save 5% a year, maybe 10%, 15%, or even more.
That's a lot of money. So call right now and find out just how much money you might be able to save.
1-800-699-0761. 1-800-699-0761.
I'm Rick Becker from No Apologies. Welcome to your after hours oasis of sanity. How can these people not see that they're just clowns?
We help simplify and educate you on things going on in the legislature and around the country.
Asking the hard-hitting questions.
But also having Lee Stack and Sid and Marty Croft stuff, and we've talked about that sometimes. It's bad.
Watch us weeknights at 9 Central on Beck News and online at beck.news.
Epidemiologist. How many of you woke up in the morning and said, okay, that's my goal. That's what I'm going to be. Let's just talk about science. Let's talk about the thought process that goes into vaccines. Dr. Murray Cohen is a retired member of the CDC. This man knows what it's like to work in the area of science. And I want to get on with him here. Dr. Cohen, good to have you coming down the road with us.
Joel, thanks for the opportunity to speak with you and your audience.
20 years with the CDC, crafting policy and bringing science to light. I mean, how frustrating is it to know there's a vaccine out there and not see it being used by many people?
It's beyond frustrating. To some extent, it's terrifying. To put it in context, I was working at the World Health Organization in Geneva in March of 2003 when SARS, now we call it SARS-1, broke out. It was a pandemic. It was in 92 countries. We had 800 deaths, 8,000 cases, and we never seen it again. So we know how to do this. This time we just didn't. That's just what's so frightening.
I want to talk about, because I do a radio show and I've been using this individual as an example. A caller that called into my radio show, his name was Mike. That might be his name, might not be, but it doesn't matter because Mike called in and we had a spirited debate, as we have before, when it comes to the vaccine and the numbers of the vaccine. Mike's argument was that tens of thousands of people have died because they have taken the vaccine. I'm phrasing that wrong. Have died after taking the vaccine, that the vaccine didn't save them. He was throwing out numbers like that. Doc, I want to get your take on what Mike said. And I have more of what he said I'm going to question you about and give you an opportunity to respond to. But what do you think about the numbers he was throwing out?
I certainly haven't seen any numbers like that. The kind of numbers I've seen is 5 billion vaccinations given globally so far, practically no side effects. And I saw numbers in the U.S. that were maybe a handful who have died after taking the vaccine. And those were all people who had underlying medical conditions, so they were highly vulnerable. I think he's just making those numbers up, or he's quoting some conspiracy theorist. It's just not true.
Yeah. I'm going to go back to another thing he talked about, which is, I've made the argument that the people in the ICU that are on ventilators, that when you look at the percentage of that, it's the high 90s that haven't been vaccinated. That's the price. That's what's happening out there. He argued that just simply isn't true. How do you make an argument against Mike when he's not going to believe something as basic as the numbers? These hospital officials, these people that are asked to work with folks that haven't been vaccinated, they know whether or not they've been vaccinated. So how do you debate and take on a Mike that just within one Google finds the doctor or the person he wants to tell him what he wants?
Well, I'm a little ashamed to say it, Joel, but I've pretty much given up on dealing with people that they're just lying, or they're so afraid. There's a kind of science we call I wouldn't have seen it if I hadn't believed it. They're going into this with an idea in mind and trying to find some source, however disreputable, that they can quote and hang on to. And it's just not helpful. And it's very sad, people who will listen to them or follow them. Here's a context for you. Just in the United States last week, 1,000 people died from COVID, most of those in ICUs. 95% of those would be alive today if they had been vaccinated. That's what the numbers tell us. That's what the numbers tell us after 5 billion vaccinations. How much bigger of a data set do we need for quote-unquote proof? You don't have to be a scientist or a statistician to understand. 5 billion is a big number. And when you look at the effects from that big of a number, that's something you should be able to take confidence in.
Well, one more point on Mike, then we'll get to the plain and simple fact that FDA has approved Pfizer in the way that everybody was claiming it hasn't been yet, even though they gave emergency clearance to use it. But I asked him how many times in his group of friends, in his church, in his coffee shop, in wherever he went to talk to people within his circle, how many times he made the argument that one of the reasons he wouldn't get vaccinated was because of the fact that the FDA had not approved this yet. They hadn't put their stamp of approval on it. Long pause, long pause, long pause. Then finally, well, yes, I made that argument. And I said, well, now, because that argument is no longer there, are you willing to accept the vaccine? Will you ever take the vaccine? He said, no, I'm never going to take that vaccine. And so for you to say that you've given up, I think is fair. I think is fair. And so, I want to talk about the FDA, because you mentioned how much better how much more research do you need than to have billions of people be vaccinated and know that there's no side effects, that you can still have children, one of the big rumors out there, all the different things that were spread as lies. What took the FDA so long? I mean, what put us in a position where we constantly were having to debate that?
Well, there's kind of two buckets of information here. One is science, and the other is regulatory bureaucracy. There hasn't been anything new in the science that somehow let FDA finally, this week do the full approval. It's all been bureaucracy and process. I, as a former government official, was very disturbed by that. I mean, frankly, we're in a world war against a really vicious foe, this virus, and I think that we should count on our government to step up to the plate and respond accordingly. Like Pearl Harbor, what are we waiting for? So it's disturbing, but the science has been there. The science was there, or they wouldn't have done the provisional approval. They've just been going through process so that they wouldn't be accused, I guess, of short shrifting the process just because we're in a world war emergency, as if that's a good enough excuse. Well, now they've gone through that entire process. The same thing is true for why Moderna and Johnson & Johnson aren't approved fully yet. It's because those two companies haven't even done their full application for complete approval. I've done these applications before. They're unbelievable. They're costly. They're complicated. They're volumes and volumes of paper and data. And it just takes time to produce all that, and it takes time for the FDA to review and analyze all of that. So when those companies finally get their applications in, I expect those to be approved very quickly just as well. But it's not because we were lacking in any scientific evidence. It goes back to those 5 billion cases, the sample size of 5 billion to look at. We know these are safe, and we know they're effective. And we know that with 3 or 4 different platforms for the 3 or 4 different vaccines, all of them are pretty much equally effective, certainly effective at preventing death and serious illness.
So one of the arguments, Dr. Cohen, that I've made in terms of getting people vaccinated is going back to my life, which is the life of, if I wanted to go into school, I had to be vaccinated. I had to show my vaccine card. In 1966, when I was a kindergartner, you went to Mrs. Stack's room, and it's like, all right, have you had measles, mumps, polio, smallpox, all of those things, right? And so because of that, I was allowed to go into that classroom. I had a great Aunt Mary that lived her life in a shoe that was that much higher with a limp because she had had polio. Now, she lived a great life, raised a great family, and was a beautiful human being. But if you'd asked her whether or not that polio vaccine would have been made available, whether or not she would have took it, I have no doubt what she would have said. And so the point I'm trying to get at, and I hope we get a chance and you'll stick around and we can talk about, is sure, the fact that it might come down to the Mikes of the world that you tell him he has to, or he'll lose certain opportunities because of that. And I want to get your take after this break on whether or not we should do that. In other words, forced mandates at work, at church, at ball games. Let's talk about it when we come back down the road.
As you know, my passion is to help each and every one of you get the best sleep of your life. That's why I created my new Giza Dreams bed sheets. I started by using the world's best cotton called Giza. It's only grown in a region between the Sahara Desert, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Nile River. It's ultra soft and breathable, but extremely durable. My Giza sheets also include full 21-inch wide pillowcases that will fit over any pillow, and deep pocket sheets that will fit over any mattress. The first night you sleep on my sheets, you'll never want to sleep on anything else.
Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen right now to get your very own MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets. Giza Dream Sheets are available in a variety of colors. Use your promo code, and for a limited time, when you buy one set of sheets, you'll get another set absolutely free.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
Non-attorney spokesperson. This is a paid advertisement for legal services sponsored by Nightline Legal. Cases assigned on a random basis to participating law firms. This drug remains approved by the FDA. If you or a loved one regularly took Zantac and were later diagnosed with cancer, call right now. You may be entitled to financial compensation. Potential cancers include bladder cancer, colon cancer, kidney cancer, stomach cancer, liver cancer, pancreatic cancer. Do not stop taking a prescribed medication without first consulting with your doctor. Discontinuing a prescribed medication without your doctor's advice can result in injury or death.
Call 1-800-230-9210.
Seniors, are you aware that you could pay less for your car insurance?
Seniors can save money on their car insurance.
You might save a little, you might save a lot.
Maybe hundreds of dollars a year.
You might save 5% a year, maybe 10%, 15%, or even more.
That's a lot of money.
So call right now and find out just how much money you might be able to save.
1-800-699-0761. 1-800-699-0761.
Hi, it's me, Anthony Sullivan. And yes, you've actually caught me at home relaxing because life's been pretty worry-free since I got coverage with American Residential Warranty.
You won't believe what ARW covers. Heating and air conditioning, washers and dryers, kitchen appliances, plumbing, water heaters, electrical systems, flat screens and laptops, even pools and spas, and so much more.
Call American Residential Warranty. They'll get you covered.
1-800-219-1467.
At Beck Communications, we've been planning for your future. Over the past decade, we've placed nearly 200,000 miles of dedicated fiber optics in the ground. Enough fiber optic strands to circle the world 8 times. Taking no shortcuts, we connected every home and business in our service area with dedicated fiber optics. It's your personal, unrestricted, unthrottled connection to the world. Best of all, this dedicated fiber means you do not share your connection. We call this intimate dedicated connection Beck Fiber.
Dr. Cohen is good enough to hang with us and continue this conversation. Before the break, we were talking about the word mandate. You know, people can say mandate whatever way they want, government going door to door. That's not the point I'm trying to raise. What I'm trying to raise is Sanford, which is one of the biggest healthcare providers here, said you're not working for us unless you've been vaccinated. In my own personal life, I know of individuals that didn't want to. They went kicking, dragging, screaming to be vaccinated, but they knew they had to because of their passions, in life. This is what I want to do, and I can't do it unless I'm vaccinated, so in the end, I guess I'll take your vaccine. Should there be more of that? In North Dakota, now that we know that the president has put down Medicare, Medicaid, you have to be vaccinated. The workers that follow that. If the governor knows that Pfizer has been approved by FDA, should he require all state workers to be vaccinated?
Well, I certainly think so. But let's step back a minute. I don't know where these people are coming from. Public health mandates are not new. They're very common. Seat belts, motorcycle helmets. As you pointed out, vaccinations against childhood diseases just to go to school, to get in the first grade. I mean, anti-vaxxers, I don't get it. Look around. How much polio have you seen lately? Or measles, or diphtheria, or smallpox? It's pretty clear these things work. And they only work when everybody's vaccinated. Because when you've got an unvaccinated population, the virus has fresh meat, if you will. People that it can, in fact, infect and keep itself going. So it's just very selfish to not get this vaccine. And frankly, I don't understand it.
So what do you say to those individuals that would make the argument to you that, listen, you as someone who's vaccinated can carry and spread the vaccine no different than those individuals that have been vaccinated. And so if that be the case, the only people that I'm really putting at risk if I haven't been vaccinated is myself, because the other individuals are going to be put at risk anyway.
Well, it's really not true. That's another canard, if you will. It's certainly not a fact. We know that the vaccine, let me back up. A key point is that the vaccine wasn't designed to prevent anybody from getting infected. The vaccine was designed to prevent people from dying. And it's almost 100% effective at that. So underlying that whole argument or chain of thought, if you will, is that somehow continuing to spread a virus, which really doesn't happen, but even if it does, spreading the virus itself is bad even in a population of people who are vaccinated. No, it's not, because the people who are vaccinated are not going to die. And we know that from billions of cases so far. It's a rare case that happens, of course. In biology, there's no such thing as perfect. But we're not going for perfect here. I mean, how much more than 95 or 99% do you need to say, I want to be a part of that team? Join the global community. Why hold yourself out kind of on the virus's side and continue to give the virus an opportunity to spread, mutate, and make itself even more dangerous?
You use the word selfish. Let's expound on that a little bit. Selfish is a strong word. It is. But you said that those individuals that haven't been vaccinated are being selfish. Where were you going with that?
Well, I will say I can understand people being afraid of the virus. I can understand people being unsure of the government and unsure of the science, that they don't understand if they don't understand it. So, I can mitigate those strong comments a little bit by, okay, there are rational fears that that people have, and so we need to talk with those people, deal with those fears. That's not the kind of doctor I am, but there are doctors who know how to modify behaviors like that. But I think information is, our very best weapon, and just address their fears. Now that the FDA has given full approval to at least one of the vaccines that's on this mRNA platform, the Pfizer vaccine, that takes away a huge argument, if you will, that people used to still be afraid of it. Frankly, I don't think it was a rational argument, but I understand that people had that argument and made that argument. Well, now they can't. Now we have a fully approved drug, just like aspirin or ibuprofen, things that people take all the time. Why? Because the FDA has run them through a rigorous safety and effectiveness study and concluded that, in fact, they're safe and effective. And, in fact, there's billions of safe uses. This is just another such example. Just, indoor plumbing, probably the greatest public health advancement of all time. Do people use indoor plumbing? Well, that's a public health mandate. It's called codes in building and construction. There's just this whole idea of a mandate somehow being a freedom thing. I don't get it. The closest thing I can think of is motorcycle helmet laws in some states. Were repealed because people said, I have a right to go out and plaster myself on a pavement and become an organ donor. Well, yeah, there's all kinds of rights to do stupid things, but that doesn't mean the government has to sanction it and that the public has to pay for the consequences of your actions, which happens when people ride motorcycles without helmets and end up in very expensive health care that's paid for by all of us through our health insurance premiums. So this is just not new. This is everyday run-of-the-mill. Ask these people, did you get your tetanus shot? Because if you didn't, there's all kinds of things you're not allowed to do in life. It's the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. Only those bugs have been tamped down in the population because of the effectiveness over time of vaccines. Right now, COVID is winning. And right now, COVID, if I had to bet on who's going to win, it would be COVID, because that virus is mutating and getting worse faster than we can get a population to catch up to its prevention.
So we're having a debate in North Dakota in our schools and in other places about masks. And there are people that are just adamant that in schools there shouldn't be children that are forced to wear a mask. One of the individuals that called into my show today has a child that's, I think she was 8 or 10 years old, and she's mad at the school board in Bismarck, North Dakota, because they won't have a mask mandate. We've got other people who have been at school boards who have started screaming at the school board because they're going to require a mask mandate. Do you believe that if 80% of us were vaccinated, that we'd even be having a debate about a mask?
Well, I don't know, because it would depend on what the continuing incidence of new infections is, irrespective of the population that's vaccinated. What I have to say to these people fighting masks is, come on. I mean, how hard is it to wear a mask? I mean, these same kids wear masks on Halloween, and that's a fun thing to do. It's just a mask. It's basically a tissue. It's like blowing your nose into a tissue instead of out into the open air. I just don't see what the big problem is. I really don't.
One of the debates that I had with an individual about a mask was, and he had a knee replacement, just like I have. And I said to him, I said, what would you feel like if the doctor walked into that room, didn't put on gloves, and didn't put on a mask? Once again, long pause. He said, well, that's different. I said, well, really not, because your argument is that masks don't work, that they don't stop anything from coming through or going out. I just don't know how to debate these folks unless you take away things they love to do. You know, you can't go to the football game. You can't go to this. You can't do that unless you're vaccinated. It seems to me, Dr. Cohen, that that's going to be what it takes.
Well, that's exactly what's going to happen. And there will still be holdouts, of course, because, well, again, I'm not a behavioral kind of a doctor. I don't understand these people. But you made exactly the right point and analogy with the surgeon, you know, and the knee replacement. And no, that's not different. Let's look at masks this way. You know, the best arguments about masks are when you start getting into detailed particle physics and which kind of masks work how effectively and better than others and blah, blah, et cetera. But look at it this way. Let's say a mask is only 25% effective in reducing the spread of virons. Okay, if you're wearing a mask, that's 25% effective. If the next guy who's talking to you is 25%, then you've just reduced the amount of virus by half. So, and that's kind of a worst case. So, of course they work. The question is, you know, do they work 100%? Like if you're in, you know, exposure to radionuclides, you know, and you're wearing a moon suit? No, but that's not what they're meant to do. They're meant to reduce the amount of virus that you're exposed to so that if you're susceptible, you won't inhale an infectious dose. And they work perfectly well for that, just like they work perfectly well in the operating room.
Dr. Cohen, you're doing everything you can to get people vaccinated. You're retired, and yet really you're still out there working. So I appreciate you coming on. I
thank you, because at the end of the day, with the government having done such a poor job of public health messaging in this crisis, and they have, and I feel very, you know, guilty for my colleagues in the public health and scientific communities.
Yeah.
But
thank you, Dr. Cohen. I really appreciate you coming on. You know,
I appreciate the opportunity.
We flat out ran out of time. I could listen to them all day. When we come back, some closing comments right here as we go down the road.
Do you worry about going to the dentist? After all, a visit to the dentist can easily cost $2,000 or more. Well, relax. The Carefree Dental Card is now available in your area. Call now and we'll send your actual card at no cost today. With the Carefree Dental Card, you go to the dentist whenever you need and you instantly pay a lot less. Activate your card and you can start using it immediately. From exams and cleanings to more expensive procedures like crowns, dentures, even braces, they're all included with the Carefree Dental Card. Say you go to the dentist today without any card and your bill is, well, ouch. Wait a minute, let's try that again. You go to the dentist today and show your Carefree Dental Card, you save $525. The Carefree Dental Card is just $15.95 a month, so call now and make going to the dentist carefree.
Call 1-800-416-5739 to receive your Carefree Dental Card information kit. 1-800-416-5739. Call now.
I can't say enough good things about these nano hearing aids.
Real people talking about nano hearing aids.
The hearing quality is great.
Until now, hearing aids used to be too expensive for the average person. Until nano. Call now and you'll get your nano hearing aids for only $297. You'll save $100. When you buy one hearing aid, Nano will give you a second hearing aid free. Call right now.
1-800-213-3815.
Spas, etc. Yeah, yeah.
You've come
Come to know and trust us for over 18 years with the largest selection and showroom in Western North Dakota for our beautiful Sundance spas. Plus, you can pick out your next home experience with our selection of pool tables, shuffleboards, and fun accessories.
Spas, etc. Your relaxation destination on Main and Bismarck.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow. Thanks to your support, you've helped make MyPillow become one of the fastest growing companies in America. Over the last 12 years, you've helped MyPillow create thousands of jobs right here in the USA.
When I got MyPillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
That's why I invented MyPillow. My patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs and helps keep your neck supported and aligned. I'm interrupting this commercial right now. Retailers have canceled MyPillow, and to thank you for your support, I'm gonna pass the savings directly on to you. For example, you get my 6-piece towel sets, regular $109.99, now only $44.98, or MyPillow dog beds for as low as $19.99 with your promo code.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit mypillow.com.
You know, it's gone, isn't it? That's the worst part for the anti-vaxxers. It's gone, or at least that one argument's gone. How many times did the anti-vaxxers come up to you and say the Food and Drug Administration hasn't approved this? It was pushed upon us, and it was pushed upon us too fast. People that were pro-vaccine, like myself, wanted to know why the Food and Drug Administration hadn't approved this sooner. The reason being, what more data do you need than to have millions upon billions of people vaccinated? That's pretty good data when you see what's happened. So we were questioning many times why they didn't move. Well, for those individuals who have used that as a crutch, who have sat there and said the Food and Drug Administration hasn't approved it, my question of you is, are you going to get vaccinated now? Many of you aren't. And so I got another question for you. Why do you keep moving the bar? Why do you keep changing your argument? Is it because your argument isn't a good argument? Good ride with you, folks.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and as you know, my passion is to help each and every one of you get the best sleep of your life. That's why I created my new Giza Dreams bed sheets. I started by using the world's best cotton called Giza. It's only grown in a region between the Sahara Desert, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Nile River. It's ultra soft and breathable, but extremely durable. My Giza sheets also include full 21-inch wide pillowcases that will fit over any pillow and deep pocket sheets that will fit over any mattress. The first night you sleep on my sheets, you'll never want to sleep on anything else.
Go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen right now to get your very own MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets. Giza Dream Sheets are available in a variety of colors. Use your promo code, and for a limited time, when you buy one set of sheets, you'll get another set absolutely free.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit my